Hi, hello, I'm Sam Harrison and I read, review and discuss fantasy and science fiction books. Today we have a discussion on my reading for this week, videos for this week and videos for next week. It is the Friday recap. So as I've said before, I love making these videos. What I'm going to run through with you guys is, number one, the things that I have read this week, the things that I'm going to read next week, the videos I've made this week, the videos I'm making next week, and then at the end we always cover some kind of anything else sort of thing. So, like movies I've watched, games I've played, things like that. So we're going to talk about a video game today, I think. Now, let's first talk about, the books that I have next to me in the pile are in the wrong order, so that's very sensible of me. But let's talk about the things that I have read this week. So starting off with The Eye of the World. I finished this quite near the beginning of this week, I think Monday-ish. My plan was to read it to give myself 7 days to read this, 100 pages a day, because it's about 700 pages. So yeah, giving myself about 7 days to read it. I ended up being a bit too tired and hungover on New Year's Day to read all that much of it, so I ended up finishing it on like the 8th, I think. But I really loved Eye of the World. My review is up on the channel. There'll be a link in the description. I feel like I don't need to go too much more into this one because there's going to be way more Eye of the World content. So you'll have a full spoiler discussion with me and Matt from Bask in the Story, which we'll be recording it when he finishes. But he's a multiple book at a time guy, whereas I'm like I must focus on the book. You probably didn't hear that very well. Anyway, so I'm like a one book at a time, have to be mega focused person, whereas Matt just reads a ton of books. So I don't know when he's going to finish. I think he was saying he's coming into the end when we were chatting in DMs yesterday. But once he has finished and when we get some time that's free for both of us, we will be recording that full spoiler discussion. If there's anything you want to ask me or anything you'd like to be covered in that full spoiler discussion, pop it in the comments down below. And on your way to the comments, just click the like and subscribe button. Next up, I started reading Empire of Silence. And funnily enough, so I really couldn't choose between Empire of Silence and another book that I was incredibly excited for that I'll be reading in 2 books' time, because I'm going fantasy sci-fi. You know how it works. Empire of Silence I ended up deciding to read this one because there's a video that some friends of mine have made that is like a spoiler review of it, and I was like, it keeps coming up on my YouTube feed, and I'm like, I know I put it in watch later, I want to watch it, and I just was like, you know what, I'll read the book so that I can watch this video. I was talking also to Ross and Laura from Hardy's Books, who I think I've now mentioned in every video. This is bad form. But we are going to do a full spoiler discussion for Empire of Silence. One of the goals for 2024 was to do more spoiler discussions with other booktubers. So keep an eye out for those, and we're going to talk Empire of Silence because they also read it very, very recently. So I feel like we're in a great place to chat about this book. What am I reading next? Now, this is the one book that's missing from my book haul video that is going to go up next week that I already filmed. But it is Prophet of Adan. So I've actually shown off a copy of Prophet Adan that I received previously, where I thought that some of the pages were cut badly. So I was like, I can just like get a scalpel and like trim the edges and that'll be fine. Because, didn't really want to use the like CO2 or whatever to return them. But it turns out when I had a closer look, those pages actually were not attached to the spine. So I did have to return it because I don't even know if there were pages missing or out of order or, So I got a new copy. Amazon sent me a replacement. And this is what I'm going to be reading next week. So really excited about this. The Way of Adan I think Way of Adan was probably my biggest surprise of 2023. And I have been busting to read this. And it's just kept getting shoved off of my TBR because I've been too slow reading in the month or other stuff like that. However, we're pretty much on target for reading this month, and I'm really excited to get to this one. I don't know how long this is going to take me to read. Hopefully I'll finish it next week. However, I'm only halfway through Empire of Silence, so like it depends on how quickly I finish that second half. But if I am able to finish Empire of Silence and Prophet of Adan next week, which you never know, I have got Return of the Griffin on deck. So that is 2 back-to-back self-pub books. This is the sequel to another book that I read in Self-Pub September, which was Wistful Ascending. This is also J.C.M. Byrne wrote both books, obviously. This is the sequel to that book. I know absolutely nothing about that. I have talked about Wistful Ascending so much because I really loved it. Wistful Ascending was it was a really well-written book. It was fun. It was fast-paced. But I think also the thing that I really loved about Wistful Ascending was that it was like merging together all the things that I love, or like a lot of things that I love, like superhero stuff, like space station sci-fi stuff. So I'm a huge fan of the first book, and I'm hoping I will be of the second book as well. I would imagine I'll be able to start this next week. Just depends on how long Prophet of Adan takes me to read. So that was what I'll be reading next week. Let's go on to videos from this week. So I've got the old tablet here so we can look at YouTube Studio. Now this week I put up 4 videos. It's going to be 5 including this one because this is going up today. My first video on Monday was, to give me a little bit more time with the Eye of the World review, a interview with fellow booktuber but also author of Harbinger of Justice, a book I read in December. And that was Andrew Watson. So I had a fantastic chat with Andrew. I had to keep it to an hour because honestly, I feel like we could have gone on forever because we were talking booktubers, we were talking booktube stuff. I asked a lot of questions. I tried to structure it initially like an interview. So we did. We went through questions about his author life first, and there's some really interesting stuff about how Andrew, like, first knew he wanted to be an author, and like he was talking about books that he'd written before Harbinger of Justice, and I thought that was really, really interesting. It's stuff that I just didn't know, and as somebody who nebulously has plans for maybe writing a book someday, I have started outlining a fantasy trilogy, but it's going to be years before you even see the outline, so don't ask for it. As it was really, really informative and interesting. And we talked a little bit about Andrew's self-pub journey, which was really interesting as well, because being traditionally published seems like a lot of work, I think both of them are a lot of work, but I think that the thing with being traditionally published is that you're kind of making a bet that the publisher will support you, which is what Andrew was talking about, and I hadn't really thought about. But the publisher only has so much marketing money and only so much marketing time. So it's like, are they going to focus that on you, brand new writer, or are they going to focus that on Brandon Sanderson? And I think we all know where it's going to go. So, really interesting video. Highly recommend you watch it. The link is going to be in the description. When you go down to the description, you can just click like and subscribe on your way. Next video I made was my booktube goals for the year. So booktube and reading goals. I will summarise those for you here because I'd love you to watch the video, and I talk around these goals and my reasoning for the goals. But I'll tell you now because I'm not one of those like clickbait people who's like, you should go and watch it, although you should go watch the Andrew Watson video. My booktube goals for this year: more sci-fi, more self-pub, more new releases, more spoiler discussions, and I would like to be a better reviewer. So my goal is to take more notes when I review books so that my reviews for you guys are higher quality content. I think that in terms of the technical aspect of production of videos, so the video quality, the audio quality, I think we're actually doing quite well. And I'm in a room that gets a lot of natural light and that has a good ceiling light. So I think lighting-wise, we're doing okay. Obviously, it's not like Matt Diavella, Andrew Watson quality, but I think we're doing okay for a new channel. Well, not really new, for a small channel. But I think the thing that I want to be better at is better at the discussion part. I don't. It's hard to think of myself as a book critic in the same way that I used to be a video game critic when I would write video game reviews. But I would like to talk to you guys about the things that I'm most excited about in the books. So I want to focus on a few set categories, which I'm going to talk about with every book. I've talked a lot around this video. I think it's a good video to watch. Give it a shout. And if you want to see the first example of my new style of review, is a longer video, but it is The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. So I reviewed that book, and it is on the channel. It's a fully non-spoiler review because, like I said, the spoiler content's coming with me and Matt later on. I'm trying to also shorten my videos so that I'm trying to get under like 25 minutes. This one, because I had so much to say, ended up being 34. But I am going to try with the future Wheel of Time books to waffle a bit less maybe and talk about the more important and most interesting stuff to me. But some of the feedback I had on that review was that people wanted those reviews to be long. So I guess it's kind of what people want, really. We'll see. Because I'm making the content for you guys, not for me, because I don't watch it again. Do you know what I mean? So anyway. Next up was my Wandering Inn read-along. This was for chapters 29 and 30. I really enjoyed these chapters. I think they were some of the best written chapters so far. We had major character death in one chapter, which I was not expecting this early into the story. Just massively recommend reading The Wandering Inn, as always. But if you can get those first 30 chapters read, there's no way you won't be hooked. I could see dropping off maybe previously because they're very, very good, but the pace is not exactly, light speed. But these two particular chapters are really, really good and really well written. What was the best viewed video from this week? It was my Eye of the World review, which I was kind of expecting. Because Wheel of Time fans love watching videos about Wheel of Time, and because this is a first-time reader's perspective, I think that a lot of people are interested in that. All of my video reviews, just FYI, they're all first-time reader perspectives, because I don't really do rereads, and I haven't read like any of the big classics from the genre, apart from the Cosmere. I guess I've read the whole Cosmere, but that's literally it. So those are the videos that I put up last week. Next week, we're going to have an Empire of Silence review. We're going to have an Empire of Silence spoiler discussion with Ross and Laura from Hardy's Books. We're going to have my book haul for, and it's a lot of books. I was very surprised because most of the books I got in the end of December, and I didn't even cover the digital purchases where I bought like 15 to 20 books in the Wraithmark sale. That was I got a lot of Christmas vouchers and stuff, and I got a lot of books for Christmas, but it was a lot more books than I was kind of thinking it was. Anyway, that's going to be next week, and I think you'll like that video. I talk a lot about the books that I'm going to read, and a lot of them I'm going to read soon, so that's pretty exciting. Then there'll be more Wandering In, there'll be a weekly recap. I am working on a series wrap-up video, which will be like, these are all the series I'm reading, any ones I'm DNFing, any ones that I am behind on, any ones I'm up to date on. So that will probably be not next week, the week after. But I'm going to start filming it pretty soon, because I don't think there's any new series I'm going to start. Actually, I'm going to start Empire of the Vampire in February, but I don't think there's any other things I'm going to start. I did put up a couple of shorts this week. Just one unboxing of my copy of Empire of Silence because I got sent it in the post from Hardy's Books, and a review of Ultimate Spider-Man issue 1. If you're a comics fan, if you like Spider-Man, read Ultimate Spider-Man issue 1 from 2024. It's amazing. It's everything that I didn't know that I wanted. The artwork is incredible. The writing is incredible. Massive, massive recommendation from me. But if you're not a comic book fan, you know what? If you're not a comic fan, just give it a read anyway. It's not expensive. Just go out and pick it up. What is the final thing that I want to talk about? Oh, Alan Wake 2. So I started playing Alan Wake 2 this week. I took an evening off of reading when I had the big telly for the night, and I started playing Alan Wake 2, and it is incredible. It's so well written. It is beautiful to look at, and honestly, I had an incredible time with it. I've only played like 3 or 4 hours so far. I was worried that I'd be too scared of it because it is a horror game, and I don't traditionally like horror video games or like movies. I like horror books, but not. I don't like it when something can like jump scare me. But there's a few things that people said were like scary in Alan Wake that I have seen and didn't bother me at all. So yeah, really liked that what I've played so far, and well, I'm only an hour or so in. I finished the first episode. I thought it was about 3 hours, but actually it's probably only like 1 or 2. But I have done a lot of wandering around. Anyway, if you like things like American Horror Story, True Detective, Hannibal, absolutely you need to play Alan Wake 2. And it's available on like everything, I think, apart from Switch. So yeah, give that one a play. I would really recommend it. That is it for this week. Hopefully over the next week, like I said, we'll finish Empire of Silence and start Prophet of Adan, and I'll also get some more time with Alan Wake 2 so I can talk to you a bit more next week. But aside from that, if you like this video, please give it a like. If you have anything to chat to me about out of this week's discussion, then please pop it down in the comments. If you've read anything I've read, or you're gonna read something I've read, I'd love to hear your opinions on it. And also, why don't you subscribe to the channel while you're on your way down there, on down to the comment box. Subscribe to the channel. Every little subscription gives me that tiny dopamine hit that makes me feel like I'm doing a good job here. Thanks very much for watching, and I will speak to you on Monday.